Imagine being mayor of one of the most violent, crime-ridden, economically unstable cities in America. And instead of honoring fallen soldiers on Memorial Day, you are out here celebrating Africa Day. Like that's going to fix the south side of Chicago. Whose man's is this? Who sent you, Brandon Johnson? Peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I am your host, April Chapman, and listen, we are dealing with another tone-deaf tale from the mayor of mayhem himself, Brandon Johnson. I want you guys to take a look at this Marxist-minded, melanated Negro and the foolishness he had to say.
Hello, I am Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to join you in recognizing and celebrating Africa Day. The continent of Africa is made up of 1.2 billion people with diverse countries full of rich traditions, cultures, and heritage. The African diaspora can be found in cities and countries around the globe. And right here in Chicago, our proud African communities have made indelible contributions to the growth and fabric of our amazing city. So this Africa Day, let us take a moment to celebrate the achievements of the people of Africa, the progress made by African nations, and the traditions and culture they have shared with us. And let us also show them that we will embrace and support them as they continue to overcome and face their challenges head on. Thank you, and happy Africa Day, everyone.
Okay, so Africa Day, you guys, yay. So I'm trying to understand, let me get this straight. While Americans are solemnly honoring the lives of men and women who died defending this country, Brandon Johnson is out here with a pre-recorded message talking about Happy Africa Day, as if we're all about to throw on a dashiki and go eat some jollof and fufu while sipping on hibiscus tea, all in his honor. I'm trying to understand why this man can't ever read the room. Why does he just lack so much self-awareness that he believes that we are in Lagos? Sir, you govern Chicago, or should I say you're supposed to be governing Chicago. Your city is bleeding, literally. People are getting shot every day. The city budget is bleeding. And this is what you thought was a good idea to do for Memorial Day. So he opens up the message talking about the African diaspora and progress of African culture. And I'm like, okay, not saying Africa hasn't made any progress, but why are we speaking of Africa on Memorial Day? And what progress specifically is he referring to? The tribal coups or the open air slave markets in Libya? I'm confused. This public service announcement wasn't about unity or Americans. It was a deflection, and it reveals his obsession with the borderless society. The man can't focus on Americans, specifically Chicagoans, because he's too busy doing the bidding of the progressive overlords that control him. I am convinced that this man has or is suffering from some sort of sad identity crisis, like so many other Black Americans here in this country. We have zero connection to the continent, and yet many of us refuse to assimilate in this country as American citizens, but we're spending all this time crying racism each and every day, talking about how bad this country is. Yet we never see any of them. Any of these people never pack up their bags to become citizens of any other country over in Africa. And then the ones that do, they're so excited to get there. And how many of them come back kissing the very terra firma that they despise and said that they hated. They get back in America and they're like, them bugs over there, the electricity, the unstable power grid, it's just too much. Everything's expensive. They get over there and recognize that the utopia that they were told they were going to experience over there, that this was actually the utopia, and this is as good as it gets. My question is, how is it that Africans are more grateful to be here in America than Black Americans? I will tell you why. It's because when an African, when they come over here, they realize that there's nothing holding them back, that this is the greatest country to ever exist, and they come here simply to achieve and to move in silence. You don't hear them walking around talking about victimhood and all of this other nonsense. You don't hear them speaking that way because they're too busy making money. They are too busy outpacing foundational Black Americans who they've been here long enough to be able to have figured it out. But for some reason, we can't. And then you have someone like Brandon Johnson, who embodies weak, emasculated, eternal victimhood. He's accomplished absolutely nothing other than being a failed educator, and now he could add failed politician to his resume. And so it's easy for him to talk about Africa and deflect than it is for him to talk about the chaos that's happening, has happened, and is happening right under his watch. So here's what you need to understand about Brandon Johnson. Brandon is the ultimate example of what I call a melanated Marxist-minded Negro. He talks a good game about community and progress, but all he does is serve the agenda of his progressive overlords like a good little Manchurian candidate. If y'all never seen the movie, you should check it out. But this is why he acts and functions like a robot. He's just an empty suit, unable to think for himself, and he does these illogical publicity stunts that make absolutely no sense. It's because he is mindless. He is simply doing the bidding of the people who gave him money to run and the progressive ideology that undergirds his worldview. Here's what I want to do now. I want to take a look. We're going to take a look at Brandon's resume of ruin. The first thing he did was he abolished cash bail. Abolished cash bail, and he did so, you guys wait for it, in the name of equity. So this man flooded the streets with repeat offenders, and they couldn't figure out why crime was everywhere. Crime is everywhere. McDonald's, McDonald's don't even want to do business in Chicago anymore. They are closing up their stores left and right. The headquarters in Chicago, listen, they're like, I mean, Caterpillar has left and a few other companies have moved their headquarters out of Chicago. I'm wondering if McDonald's is going to be next. He failed to control flash mobs. And y'all remember the violent teen takeovers? Yeah, city was just out of control. He couldn't control those. These violent teen takeovers were terrorizing businesses and families. And this man just explained it away as well. They're bored. So, it's hot and it's summertime. What are they supposed to do? Well, it's not like these young people could get jobs because there are no summer youth jobs for these young people because he believes in restorative justice. So instead of punishing the lawbreaker, he wants to reward the lawbreaker with what I don't know, but the jury is still out on that. We cannot forget how he welcomed in the migrants, right? With open arms. There's room and resources for everybody. He drained the city resources while Black Chicagoans couldn't get the resources they needed. Housing, failed police response. He used schools that just sat empty, that could have been used for something else. He used those schools to house the migrants, feed the migrants, clothe the migrants, provide health care for the migrants. I'm sorry, the illegals. Let's add to the list, defund the police. He defunded the police and then cried foul when the crime statistics made headlines and everybody's trying to figure out, why would you defund the police? On top of that, Chicago schools has adopted all this woke DEI garbage. Test scores have tanked. The kids can't read or do basic math. On top of the fact, Chicagoans have higher taxes, and then y'all remember those traffic cameras and the speed enforcement zones? Yes, that was not done to improve safety. His goal was, I need to generate some revenue, and so I'm going to nickel and dime the residents. Because I promised all of my teacher union and educator buddies, I've promised them a raise. So it doesn't matter that the kids can't read or write and that the academic policies and standards are actually in the way of keeping educators from educating, but he promised them money anyway, so he had to figure out a way to rob Peter to pay Paul. That is what we saw happening. Nickel and diming of the residents and just basically economically assaulting them. Y'all, this man couldn't lead a prayer at the family cookout, let alone govern an American major city. And yet here we are. Here we are with him giving a recorded message, pandering about the African diaspora and wishing us a happy Africa Day. I don't even know what Africa Day is. I didn't even know there was such a thing. But here's what progressives don't want to admit. Black Americans and Africans, y'all, we're not the same, okay? Africans, they don't rock with Black Americans like that, and vice versa, okay? There are too many cultural disconnects. There's historical tension. We have different values when it comes to faith, family, and work ethic. And yes, the cultural tensions, not for all of us, because you have some of us that we have no connection to Africa, but we will cape for Africans when they don't cape for us. But some of us actually know the history, and perhaps sinfully, we're harboring unforgiveness toward our African brethren because we're like, first of all, y'all are the ones who sold us to the white man anyway. And then after you sold us, y'all didn't even send a raft over here to come check on us. We didn't get a raft, a piece of driftwood, a smoke signal. Y'all sent nothing. Nothing at all. You just moved on with your life slide. Nothing happened. And yes, we are called to forgive, but I am just pointing out the reality that there is a disconnect and a cultural tension between Black Americans and Africans, and we're not the same. So I don't understand. Are they wishing us a happy America Day? You know, to all the Black folks that we sold and left over there and forgot about? Y'all are making so much progress. No, they can't say that. So what? I just don't understand who asked for this. Let's be clear. Africans don't claim us, and it's okay. I don't need them to claim us. In fact, I actually share in the sentiment that many Africans have. They believe that many of us are lazy and we have poor character. And let's be honest, we have some thoughts about them too. A lot of us think that all they do is scam. I mean, if we're not going to have an honest conversation about it, let's not act to believe that is if we meet somebody from Nigeria, we might be thinking that, you know, they may or may not be a scammer, right? These are observable realities. But seriously, Africans are often conservative, they're entrepreneurial, they're very family centered, and sadly, we can't say the same thing about Black Americans in this country. Now, many of us on an individual level, we embody those kinds of values, but as a collective, everybody knows that that is not true. Black Americans, particularly, let me not say urban, let me call it what it is. In Democrat-run cities, have been politically conditioned to embrace victimhood, blame shifting, and dependency. And so therefore, most Africans don't respect us, and they are horrified at the thought of their children marrying one of us. It is what it is. Now, Brandon Johnson knows this. He's not ignorant to any of this reality. However, he needs a smokescreen. So rather than address the root issues that are affecting Chicagoans, like the breakdown of the family, abortion, fatherlessness, the high crime rate, and the corruption, he'd rather distract us with faux Pan-African unity, because, you know, Black folk love them some Africa, even though they have no historical connection to that continent at all. Newsflash. Saying Happy Africa Day does absolutely nothing for the kids that are ducking bullets on the south side of Chicago, or the ones that are keeping 46-year-old tourists from getting shot in the arm while pushing a baby stroller in downtown Chicago. Happy Africa Day is not going to fix that, Brandon. And it's not going to fix your approval rating either. So let's talk a little bit about that approval rating, because it's in the basement. Polls are showing that Brandon's approval rating, it's circling the drain, like really fast and tanking really quickly. And the reason why that is because he's failed to learn that symbolism will not save Chicago. His Marxist-minded worldview and his socialistic approach to governance is not working. He thinks that these woke public service announcements and the racial virtue signaling, he believes it's going to clean up the bloodstained streets, but it's not. Africa Day celebrations cannot undo the economic depression that he helped create, and there are no amounts of diversity parades that can fix the failing education system that continues to cripple. How does a former educator become the mayor of a city and then the educational standards don't even improve and the educational outcomes end up worse when you're supposed to be the subject matter expert when it comes to education? So you're not using your gifts, talents, or abilities in any positive way whatsoever. But anyway, listen, what is going to change or help improve some of those things that I mentioned? One thing I would say is courage, conviction, accountability, law and order, like the basics, just those basics, family values and morality. But we can hold our breath. But Brandon's not built like that. He's Marxist. They're not built like that. They love chaos and disruption and socialism and free stuff. But here's what I would like to do. I would like to do something that Brandon Johnson failed to do, and that is on Memorial Day. This Memorial Day, I want us to remember those who died so that all Americans, black ones, white ones, legal immigrants, could live free. And instead of honoring those lives, Brandon chose to play Pan-African politics. But Brandon, he doesn't just have poor political instincts. He has no cultural awareness. He lacks discernment. And it's obvious he has no fear of God. So I kind of want to end the show like this. To every service member who laid down their life for this country, I want to honor you. To every Chicagoan who is celebrating Memorial Day, I honor you. And to every elected official that is pandering instead of protecting, we see you. The midterms are coming up. We will vote you up out of office because we're tired. We're tired of you and mayors like Brandon Johnson using skin color as a cover-up for progressive foolishness. We're not here for it. We don't want to deal with it anymore, and it's time for change. So if you agree with that, I'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment of this video and let me know your thoughts. And then head on over to standardhomeandliving.com. That is my Christian lifestyle brand where I am always providing tools and resources and merch to uplift and share bold and biblical truth in this upside down world. So if you enjoyed this video and you share my sentiment or you disagree and you think Happy Africa Day just made so much sense on Memorial Day, you are free to leave me a comment and let me know that as well. But whatever side of this discussion you land on, I would like to hear from you. So until next time, you guys, stay bold, stay fearless, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.